Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
WWE seemingly has plans for Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns, as per a recent report. There seems to be a lot of focus on Fatu's career from the company at this point in time. Jacob Fatu's arrival saw him immediately become a huge attraction in the Stamford-based company. Not only has he been a destructive force as part of the bloodline under Solo Sikoa, but he's also now found his own rhythm, and it seems that WWE has more than a few plans for him. Fightful Select reported on the matter and said that Jacob Fatu's confrontation with Roman Reigns was not an accident at all. Those in creative and the higher-ups all expect him to be a top star in the company and emerge from the bloodline story as such. It appears that the star could be involved in huge plans with Roman Reigns, but the nature of those ideas was not made clear by the report. Previously, those in charge of WWE had passed on signing Fatu, but the moment he became available this time, the current regime decided to sign him up immediately. The report also said his appearances and interactions have been carefully crafted since he arrived in the Stamford-based promotion. WWE is well aware of how the Samoan werewolf is viewed as a top star by the audience as well. Jacob Fatu's shocking face-off against Roman Reigns on WWE SmackDown wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision, it was a calculated move in what could be one of the most explosive bloodline storylines yet. With Roman Reigns absent for months and Solo Sikoa taking over as the self-proclaimed new tribal chief, many assumed that the bloodline's dominance was fading. However, Jacob Fatu's arrival proved otherwise. Sources within WWE suggest that this clash was not accidental, but rather the start of a massive, carefully planned war within the Anoa'i family. The road to war, bloodlines fractured leadership. Ever since Roman Reigns lost the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, the cracks in the bloodline have only grown deeper. Solo Sikoa, initially seen as Roman's enforcer, took matters into his own hands, bringing in Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa as his personal security. But the biggest move came when he introduced Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf, as the bloodline's new weapon of destruction. Fans expected Jacob to be Solo's greatest ally, another wrecking machine to keep the bloodline intact under Solo's rule. But what happened on SmackDown told a different story. In an unexpected moment, Jacob Fatu locked eyes with Roman Reigns, and the tension between them was undeniable. The look in Jacob's eyes wasn't one of loyalty, it was one of challenge. And then, chaos erupted. Jacob Fatu's attack, a warning shot or a declaration of war. As Roman Reigns made his long-awaited return to SmackDown, he stepped into the ring to address the bloodline's current state. The tribal chief wasn't happy about Solo Sikoa taking control in his absence, nor was he pleased with the additions of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. But it was Jacob Fatu's presence that stood out the most. Roman barely had time to process before Jacob made his move. The Samoan werewolf lunged at the former champion, hitting a devastating Samoan drop that shook the ring. The crowd erupted in shock as Paul Heyman, standing at ringside, looked like he had seen a ghost. It wasn't just an attack, it was a message. Jacob Fatu wasn't here to be another soldier in Roman's army. He was here to prove that the Anoa'i bloodline had evolved, and if Roman wasn't careful, his seat at the head of the table would be taken. WWE's master plan, a battle of tribal kings. Behind the scenes, WWE officials have been working on this storyline for months. Jacob Fatu's signing with WWE wasn't just about bringing in another Samoan powerhouse, it was about planting the seeds for one of the biggest feuds in recent history. According to sources, the plan was always for Jacob to stand opposite Roman, but the execution had to be perfect. WWE wanted to establish Solo Sikoa as a rogue force first, allowing fans to believe that Jacob was merely his enforcer. Then, when the time was right, Jacob would make it clear that his loyalty wasn't to Solo, but to his own ambitions. This was never an accident. Jacob Fatu's assault on Roman Reigns was a calculated step in what could lead to a massive match at either WrestleMania or SummerSlam. The storyline now places Roman in an unfamiliar position. He's no longer the dominant force controlling the bloodline. Instead, he is being forced to defend his legacy against a younger, hungrier, and just as ruthless family member. Paul Heyman's dilemma: whose side is he on? As the architect of the Bloodline's dominance, Paul Heyman is perhaps the most interesting piece of this puzzle. His reaction to Jacob Fatu's attack on Roman Reigns was telling. He was stunned, yet he didn't immediately react in defense of Roman. For years, Heyman has been the brains behind the Tribal Chief's reign. But as WWE fans know, Paul Heyman is always thinking 3 steps ahead. Could Heyman be positioning himself to align with Jacob Fatu instead? The special counsel has a history of betraying his clients when he sees a better opportunity. He turned on Brock Lesnar in favor of Roman Reigns, and now, with the Bloodline's power shifting, it wouldn't be out of character for Heyman to hedge his bets on Jacob Fatu. Or is Heyman simply playing both sides, waiting to see who truly emerges as the leader of the Bloodline? Roman Reigns' response: will he embrace or destroy Jacob Fatu? The most pressing question now is how Roman Reigns will respond. The Tribal Chief has never been one to take betrayal lightly, and with Jacob Fatu making such a bold statement, retaliation seems inevitable. Does Roman view Jacob as a legitimate threat to his power? Or does he see an opportunity to mold Jacob into an even stronger force under his rule? One scenario could see Roman trying to reassert dominance, bringing back Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso to stand against Solo's new bloodline. Another possibility is that Roman recognizes Jacob's raw talent and instead attempts to bring him under his guidance, setting up a power struggle between the two. But given Jacob Fatu's aggressive nature and Solo's growing influence, it's unlikely this will end without blood being spilled. What's next? A bloodline civil war? The WWE Universe is already buzzing about the potential matches that could come from this storyline. Roman Reigns vs. Jacob Fatu, a battle for the true head of the table. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso vs. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, a tag team war to decide the Bloodline's fate. A tribal warfare match at WrestleMania, a possible multi-man battle featuring Roman, Solo, Jacob, Jey, and other members of the Anoa'i family. WWE has set the stage for one of the most compelling feuds in years. The clash between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu is more than just a wrestling match, it's a generational war, a struggle for dominance within the most powerful family in pro wrestling. Final thoughts: the Bloodline's evolution. Jacob Fatu's confrontation with Roman Reigns was not a mistake. It was the beginning of something massive, a storyline that could redefine the Bloodline's future. For years, Roman Reigns has been the tribal chief, ruling with an iron fist. But as history has shown, power is never permanent. The question now isn't just whether Roman can reclaim control, it's whether Jacob Fatu is the future of the Bloodline. With WWE pushing the envelope on storytelling, this war within the Anoa'i family could be the biggest wrestling saga of the decade. The only thing left to see is whether Roman Reigns can survive the storm that is Jacob Fatu. Because this time, it's not just about championships. It's about legacy.